Today we're going to be talking about making an offer on a home. Now we're going to assume that you've already decided to buy a home, you've already been looking at homes. We're going to talk about how to select your price here shortly, but you're ready to make an offer on a home. And as you know, today's market is quite different than it was years ago. So if you've talked to grandparents or talked to parents, they're going to tell you make sure you go in lower than the asking price. Make sure you get the seller to pay your closing cost. Make sure you ask for a lot of things in repairs. Well, don't do that. That's not the market we're in. Here are the reasons why. Our home market is driven by jobs coming into the Huntsville area. We have more jobs than we have homes, more people looking for homes than we have homes to sell. Our inventory is at historically low levels. With interest rates at historically low levels, you can see how the buyers are stacking up with just a few homes to look at. Every home we have that is move-in ready, or even today close to move-in ready, has multiple offers. And I don't mean just one or two or three offers. I'm talking about 10 or 15 or 20 offers. We had a home last week in southeast Huntsville listed in the twos, ended up with 30 offers on that home. So we're going to talk today about how do you write an offer that's going to get you the home that you want to buy. Now, when you're getting ready to make an offer, there's really only two ways that you can go. You can be offering cash, where you're going to pay 100% of the price that you agree to, or you can do some type of financed offer, where you're going to pay a down payment and then a mortgage company is going to provide the rest of the cash. As you can see from this form, there's a lot of different parts involved to your offer. So we're going to talk about the best price, your earnest money, loan type, down payment, pre-approval, closing cost, closing date, home inspection, and then the all-important additional provisions section. Now, when we're talking about price, you're going to have to determine, based on your objectives, how much this home is worth to you. In other words, what's the maximum price you would pay for this home? We don't have negotiations much anymore because we have so many multiple offers. You're going to have to make what we call your best and final offer on the first go. So sit down with your spouse or your family, whoever you're negotiating with or getting counsel from, and determine for this particular home, what is your maximum price. The listing price is just a starting point. Most of the homes in today's market, they're selling above list price, they're selling above appraised value, they're selling with special inspection addendums. We'll talk about all those coming up. But the first thing for you to do is determine how much you're going to pay for this particular home. Now, earnest money is a check that you write, that you deposit if you get an accepted contract. Earnest money is not an additional fee. It's not an additional charge. It's just a good faith deposit that you're making to illustrate to the seller that you are willing to complete this contract. In our market, we're going to need about 1% earnest money. So if you're looking at a $250,000 home, about $2,500 in earnest money is what's going to be needed. Now, earnest money is going to show up at closing as a credit for you. So if you need it as part of your down payment, if you need it as part of your closing cost, it's going to go toward those fees. If you don't need it, it'll be returned to you at closing. The next thing on the offer doc is to tell the seller what kind of loan you're going to be using if this is a financed contract. Are you going to use a VA loan, conventional, FHA, rural development, first-time home buyer? That's important information for the seller to know because different loans have different advantages and disadvantages for the seller. This is something you want to go over with your realtor and your lender to determine, based on your situation, what's the best loan for you to use. After you've let the seller know what type of loan you're going to use, you're going to let them know what kind of down payment you intend to make. Now, this is going to be looked at, especially when we have multiple offers. The sellers are looking for the strongest buyer to accept a contract on their home because they don't want any issues between now and the time it closes. If they agree to a price and they agree with the buyer, they want the home to close. So if you have a loan and you're doing a 0% down, you don't invest anything in the down payment, that's going to look one way to a seller. If you're doing a 20% down loan, that's going to look a different way to a seller. So again, this is something to discuss with your realtor, with your financial advisor, with your mortgage lender to determine how much down payment you're going to put on your loan, and this is what you're going to let the seller know in this particular section. It says in the contract that you're going to apply for a pre-approval within so many days after contract. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. When you put in an offer, you either need a pre-approved letter for the amount or more than what you're offering on the home, or if you're paying cash, you need a proof of funds from your bank or financial institution that says, yes, this person has this much money available and they can purchase this home. The seller's not going to consider contracts without either proof of funds or a financed letter already with a pre-approved buyer because there's so many offers for them to look at. Again, they're looking for the best quality buyer to go under contract with. Now here's where you're going to tell the seller how much money you expect them to pay toward your closing cost. And I already know the answer to that. The answer is none. The sellers aren't paying any closing costs these days simply because they don't have to. Now if you talk to someone that bought a home 10 or 15 or 20 years ago, they're going to say, hey, make sure the seller pays your closing costs. That's not the way it works today. The sellers are going to look at 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 20 offers, and there are going to be some in there that are going to ask for closing costs. But that's not the offers that you're going to accept. They're going to look for the highest net value for the seller, and that has to do with the maximum amount that they can get for the home with the least amount that they have to contribute to this closing cost area. So you need to plan in advance to pay your own closing costs. Now the closing date, you need to be flexible if you can, because sellers may be purchasing a new home, they may be building a new home. If it's new construction, it could have a variable closing date. So if you have the ability to be flexible on your closing date, in other words, to close longer than 30 days from now or 60 days from now, and that's something that's attractive to the seller, that could give you an advantage in this particular point of the process. So determine what your needs are as far as a moving date, and if you can be more flexible in this section, that can make your offer look better than someone else's. Now you're going to have to tell the seller what your thoughts are on a home inspection. So you're going to check, yes, I require a home inspection, or no, I don't require a home inspection. Now, if you don't require a home inspection, that doesn't mean the home is not going to be in good condition, because there's a paragraph 4 in the contract which says that things like appliances, heat pumps, electrical systems, cooling systems, plumbing systems, those have to be in good working order when the home transfers. Now beware, a lot of homes on the market now are being sold as is, where is. That means that the seller is not going to make any repairs. So you either have to do a really good survey of the home before you make an offer, or you have to write what I call a walkaway offer, where you'll say, we're going to buy this home for this amount, but we're going to do a home inspection after we agree to a contract. If we like the inspection, we'll move forward. Now I'm going to tell you now, those are not probably going to be accepted, again, because the seller is going to have many offers that are going to waive inspections. But you just have to do whatever is in your best interest. You have to keep working, keep adding, keep fighting, and when you get to the right home, it'll connect for you. The additional provisions section is where we're going to put anything that's not included in the basic contract. We're going to put things in here like an escalation clause. For example, if you want to start at a certain price, but you really want this home, you're going to agree to pay more than the seller's next best offer up to whatever your maximum price is. We're going to write in here something about the appraisal. Maybe you don't care what the appraised value is, and you have the funds to pay the difference between the appraised value and the contract price if you're financing. Maybe you want to put a cap on how much you'll pay over the appraised value. We may put comments in here that have to do with inspections. Maybe you want to let the seller know you're only going to look for what we call major defects. Those are things that have to do with health or safety or structure. You're not going to nitpick on your inspection report and ask for all the cosmetic issues to be done. This is an area where we put additional provisions where we let the seller know what our intentions are and what we'd like to do. We're going to try and customize this section to work for us, but to also look very attractive to the seller. Now, if this information has been helpful to you, hit the like button below. That way we can share it with other people it might help. If you're ready to make an offer and you don't have a realtor, connect with us and let us help you. We've written hundreds of offers. We've had them accepted. Now, we've, like everyone else, have had offers that have not been accepted, but that's just part of the process. But we'd love to work with you on your new home purchase, whether it's your first home or whether it's your 10th home. We can be a big service to you, and it doesn't cost you anything to use us as a representative. There are no fees that you pay. The seller pays the realtor fees, so there's no cost for you to have realtor representation, and today you really need it. If you have any questions, you can put the questions in the comments section. We'll answer all those within 48 hours. Thanks for watching this video, and let's go out and make it a great day.